Hi, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. We are back with the questions from Jurisprudence. Our first question is, how do religious norms change over time? Religious norms may change with the new interpretations of sacred texts. Why do all normative systems guide and control individual actions? They guide and control actions to maintain order and harmony within a community. What is the primary goal of a legal order? The maintenance of social order and regulations of behavior through laws. What is the primary focus of a legal order? Ensuring compliance with the rules and resolving disputes through courts and law enforcement. What is the main purpose of a political order? The organization and governance of society through the allocation of power and authority. How does a political order maintain stability? Through the exercise of state power, policy making, and administration of state affairs. What is the key focus of a religious order? Spiritual guidance, moral regulation, and the promotion of ethical behavior based on religious doctrines. How does a legal order differ from a political order in terms of scope? A legal order applies to all members within a jurisdiction, while a political order encompasses the entire political system, including governments and political parties. What is the enforcement mechanism in a legal order? The coercive power of the state, such as courts and law enforcement agencies. How is enforcement different in a religious order compared to legal order? Religious orders rely on voluntary adherence or social pressure rather than state enforcement. What is the time orientation of a religious order compared to a legal or political order? Religious orders focus on eternal or spiritual matters, whereas legal and political orders focus on present and future governance. What is an example of a normative system besides the legal system? Religious norms, social customs, or rules in games. What mechanisms are used to enforce legal norms? Legal norms are enforced through courts, police, and other state institutions. What do legal rules, religious doctrines, and customary practices have in common? They all help ensure predictable and acceptable behavior within their respective spheres. How does the expectation of consequences encourage adherence to rules? People follow rules to avoid sanctions, whether formal, that is fines, imprisonment, etc., or informal, that is gossip, exclusion, etc. Why do normative systems, including the legal system, evolve? They evolve in response to changing societal values or practices. What is the main focus of general will theories? The collective interest and a common good. What is the main focus of free will theories? Individual autonomy and personal freedom. How do general will theories determine the legitimacy of laws? Laws are legitimate if they align with the collective will. How do free will theories determine the legitimacy of laws? Laws are legitimate if they protect individual rights and prevent harm. How do general bill theories view the role of the state? The state enforces laws that serve the common good, even overriding individual preferences. How do free will theories view the role of the state? The state protects individual rights with a minimal interference. How does jurisprudence differ from the practice of law? While the practice of law focuses on applying legal rules, jurisprudence examines the fundamental principles and theories that shape those rules. Which theory prioritizes the common good over individual freedoms? General will theory. Which theory prioritizes individual freedoms over collective control? Free will theory. What is the source of legitimacy in a legal order? State authority through constitutional or statutory law? How does a political order derive its legitimacy? Through elections, power structures, and political institutions. What is the primary source of legitimacy in a religious order? Religious beliefs and a divine authority. What is one example of an overlap between legal, political, and religious orders? In societies where religion influences political decisions and legal systems, such as theocratic governments. What is our shared goal of both theories despite the differences? Balancing individual freedom with the needs of society. Why is the study of jurisprudence important? It helps understand the nature of law, clarify legal concepts, guide a legal interpretation, reinforce the link between law and morality, and support legal reforms. How does jurisprudence contribute to legal interpretation? It provides legal professionals with tools to interpret and adapt laws to changing societal needs. What fundamental question does jurisprudence explore regarding the nature of law? It examines whether law is merely a set of state-issued commands or a reflection of universal moral principles. Or what distinguishes law from other social norms like ethics or custom? Jurisprudence studies how law functions separately from ethics and customs while sometimes overlapping with them. Why do judicial practices evolve over time? Due to societal changes, new legal challenges, and advancements in law. Give an example of a modern legal challenge courts address. Cybersecurity and privacy issues. How do courts establish legal authority? Through binding decisions that shape future legal applications. What is judicial review? The process where courts assess the constitutionality of laws. Why is law as court practice fundamental to society? It maintains rule of law, justice, and a social order. Why is the clarification of legal concepts important? It prevents ambiguities and inconsistencies in legal reasoning, improving legal interpretation and practice. Which legal concepts does jurisprudence help clarify? Rights, duties, justice, authority, and the rule of law. What is one major concern of jurisprudence regarding law and morality? Whether law should be based on moral principles or remain independent of them. How does the natural law tradition view the relationship between law and morality? It argues that law is only valid if it aligns with a certain moral standards. How does legal positivism view the relationship between law and morality? It maintains that law is separate from morality and it should be followed regardless of moral considerations. What is the relationship between law and justice? Law is a framework of rules established by authority, while justice is the principle of fairness that a law aims to achieve. Why is law considered a mechanism for achieving justice? It provides a system for resolving disputes, protecting rights, and ensuring fair treatment. What is the key distinction between law and justice? Law is procedural, focusing on rules and governance, while justice is substantive, concerned with the fairness and moral correctness. Can law be unjust? Provide an example. Yes, laws such as apartheid or slavery were legally valid but unjust. What is natural law theory's view on the relationship between law and justice? It argues that laws must align with the universal moral principles, that unjust laws are not true laws. How does jurisprudence contribute to legal reforms? It provides a theoretical foundation for assessing and improving laws based on fairness, effectiveness, and a social impact.